So, namaste and good evening, everyone. Welcome to NENCID Talk program. My name is Jigyasha Rai Yangkhurung, and Executive Committee member of Nepal National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage, NENCID. NENCID is a knowledge sharing platform, so it brings together various multidisciplinary professionals to deliberate on various complexities for the development, management, and operation of irrigation, drainage, and flood management works. Therefore, in order to share and exchange knowledge and experiences among these professionals, NENCID has started this NENCID Talk program as a part of Irrigation and Drainage Talk series. In this series, an event is held every second Tuesday of every month according to Bikram Samvat calendar. And today's event is 25th episode of this series. We have completed 2 years since we started this NENCID Talk program. So I'd like to thank you all of you for your support and love to this program. Please follow our first Facebook page, Nepal National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage, and subscribe our channel, NENCID Nepal, on YouTube, and check the past episode of this talk series in the channel. If you have any suggestions, comments, or feedbacks, please write to us at nencid.nepal@gmail.com. Now, let's start with these ground rules. Today's session will be an hour long. First 25 minutes will be a presentation, which will be followed by question, answer, and discussion round. During the session, please kindly mute your microphone, and we encourage you to maximize the use of chat box to ask questions, comments, or to express your viewpoints. In order to share your opinions verbally, please unmute yourself before speaking. Now, with this brief background, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Vishnu Pandey from Institute of Engineering, Pulchowk Campus, who is also an executive committee member of NENCID, to introduce the speaker and moderate this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Namaste to everyone. Can you go to the next slide, please? Today, we are pleased to have a new speaker. He is speaking from far away, from Finland, Mr. Bishal Dahal, who is a doctoral researcher at University of Oulu in Finland. He is also senior divisional engineer from Department of Water Resource and Irrigation in Nepal. Next slide, please. He will be talking today about sustainability in agriculture. He's working as in water sector for more than a decade, initially as an assistant lecturer for hydraulics and irrigation and drainage engineering by use of theoretical reasoning, practical works, and field work. Then he served under government of Nepal under the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation as an engineer and senior divisional engineer in development division of then DWIDM. A donor-funded project. He also was engaged with the donor-funded project and national pride projects like Babai. He also worked as a freelance consultant for various small and medium irrigation projects in Nepal. Mr. Dahal holds a MSc in Water Resource Engineering from Trivuwan University and also a second MSc from UNESCO ISC in Delft, Netherlands. Beside this, he also holds a special course in farm water management from JICA Sapporo, Japan, and water diplomacy from Sint-Jandel Institute, Netherlands. His current research is related to establishing pathways for sustainable water management in agriculture and various ecosystem. So with these diverse degrees and also professional practice and his current research in doctoral program, we expect to get some insights about moving ahead in this agriculture sector with sustainability from the sustainability lens. With this very, very brief background, I would like to invite Mr. Dahal for the presentation. You will have 25 minutes for sharing your thoughts, and then it will be followed by question and answer for another 30 minutes. So we'll help you to keep the time by reminding in between. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for my short introductions, and thank you, NENCID team, for providing me this opportunity to share some of my views on sustainable water management in agriculture. In this presentation, I will try to conceptualize sustainability in the context of agricultural water management, and this presentation will be in three parts. In first part, I will try to explain why we need to consider sustainability in agricultural water management, and in the second part, what does sustainability means, and finally I will try to show how the concept of sustainability can be implemented in the farm level. So let's start with why. Why do we care about sustainability? Okay, let's have a look at this graph. The graph in the left-hand side shows the past, present, and future scenarios of population, agriculture, and water. The graph B is about estimated world populations of year 1990 to 2050, and the arrow indicates the total number of populations living in water-scarce area. The second graph is about the arable land within the same time period, and the arrow indicates the total demand of arable land for the food productions to meet the food security for the growing populations over the same time period. And third is about the fresh water demand for agriculture, and the arrow indicates the water scarcity in same time frame. So what we see is that the land is constant, water is declining, and there is increase in population. So for the growing population, we need to have more food, and the changing in dietary pattern and more food requires more agricultural product, which has to be achieved with lesser amount of water because of the competing users and climate change. Secondly is that we are over the year we have seen the different impacts of climate change, whether it be in the form of disturbance in hydrological cycle causing the weather extremities, or maybe disrupting the economic chain, causing the price hike of buying products and price drop of selling product, as well as it has also caused the social unrest in the form of misery, in the form of farmer protest, causing climate refugees, and many more. So these are in the global scale. What about in the local scale then? What about our farm? Our farm has also been subjected to water stress, either in the form of drought or in the form of inundations, which might be due to climate change or maybe due to inadequate or improper infrastructure, which are being more worsened by the lack of access to smart technologies, rigid orthodoxy in institutions, social conflicts, and financial setback. So on the right-hand side, I have shown the different factors that are making current scenario to the worst one, which might be social factor, agricultural practices, environmental factor, biophysical factor, etc. So then beside that also, beside the problem, we have also some global commitment like SDG goals. SDG goals are the overarching commitment made. These are the over ambitious and overarching goals aiming to create a more equitable, prosperous, and sustainable planet for everyone. And these SDG goals are from the tackling to SDG goals are inclined from the tackling of climate change to promoting gender equality. And these goals are universal call to action for all stakeholders. The SDG goals that are related to agricultural water management are as shown. These SDG goals that I have pointed out from the different literature review, as well as digging out into the SDG goals. When we talk about SDGs in agricultural water management, we have to think about agriculture and water management. So for this SDG 2 about SDG 2 about the food security, and about SDG 6 about water, and SDG 12 about sustainable consumptions are directly related to the sustainable water management in agriculture, and others indirectly related are SDG 1, SDG 11, SDG 13, SDG 14, and SDG 15. So beside this global commitment of SDG, we have also other global commitment, like we have the Paris Agreement, we have the Broadland Commissions, we have the Rio Commitment, etc. And there are also other regional commitment for SDGs, for sustainable, not the sustainable development goals, but for the sustainability, like we have the Common Agricultural Policy in Europe, we have the Water Frameworks Directive, we have the BRICS, we have these other like Nile Basin initiatives, and many more. Even our national commitment from our laws, directives, and then acts, there are also, these are also inclined toward the sustainability. Furthermore, there are local commitment made by private sectors and civil society. again, let's go back to the picture that I presented previously about the worst scenario. So this worst scenario, as a technician, as an engineer, as an expert, we have to change this worst scenario to somewhat translate to somewhat sustainable system. So I have presented in a funnel metaphor because there is increase in demand and decrease in resource. So there is less room for maneuvering. So if there are these different problems or different scenarios in the worst condition has to be converted to the sustainable system, then we need to have the concept of sustainability, because these are converted to sustainable system either by innovations, either by management restructuring or reforming the situation. So it's not only the problem that force us to think about sustainability. There are global goals as well as our offer innovation. So these are the main three different aspects that we need to think about sustainability. So second is then what is sustainability? So what do we understand from the sustainability? Let's have a small look on sustainability talk. So we might be talking about sustainability in various sectors and various platforms. One of the survey by World Economic Forum said that 74% of the people are conscious of sustainability, and among them 26% are aware of sustainable development goals, SDG goals, and only 10% are more familiar with them. And then this is the global data. Then how about our current situation in Nepal? There might be various occasions that we might be talking about sustainable development goals, sustainability, and other aspects. But I have taken the example of our budget speech. In the recent budget speech made by Finance Minister, the term sustainability or sustainable development has been used 22 times during the entire speech. And upon discussion of the sectoral budget for our ministry and the Agriculture Ministry and Ministry of Environment, almost double the times of my member of parliament used these terms, double the times that finance minister used in many speeches. Even yesterday I was following this UN Food System Summit, and our prime minister, in the 5 to 6 minute speech, our prime minister used these terms 4 times during that time. One thing to ponder at that moment was that I think the president of Sierra Leone, he explicitly mentioned that there has to be sustainable agricultural practice to make the viable feeding options for the school meal for the children. Beside that, also I just dig at social media over a year, and what I found was that the term sustainability, I use the term hashtag sustainability with water and agriculture or food security at Boolean string. That was the reason why I put hashtag sustainability in this research topic also. Then what I found was that over the year, this term was used more than 140 or around 140,000 times. And then this term in this Boolean string was used around 50,000 times. And there was an interesting observation that people use these terms on certain occasions like World Water Day, World Environmental Day, and many more. So the term is gaining momentum over time. But then if we are using the term in many occasions in social media, it's getting momentum. But are we all talking the same thing when it comes to sustainability? Maybe yes and maybe no. Why? Because I think we all have heard about these famous Brundtland commissions and the definition coined by this commission, like sustainability development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their need. And also it stated the urgency of incorporating it into the policies for various countries. Over the years, this definition was highly criticized by different intellectuals as well as working group, because this definition was vague and oxymoronic. And then there was no concrete boundaries for the timeline boundaries, like what is the present and what is the future. And also there was no proper definitions of need. Who defines need and what is need? Need might differ from one place to another, one conditions to another. Furthermore, this term was then provocatively used by some research group, provocatively used by some activist group, and this term was heavily contested over time. Even this term was then treated as a Pandora box. So upon the systematic literature review, in the academic, they mentioned that over 300 definitions of sustainability are available, among which I found 70 of them, and some of them are I presented here. maybe the one that presented by ICID seems quite familiar to us, which defines sustainability as the management of watershed systems with sustainable technological options, which may ensure the sustainability of land, agriculture, and forestry, or its combination to conserve natural resources with adequate institutional and economical options. So what we see from there is that the definition of sustainability is contextual and it reflects the institutional value and working scope. So realizing this, then I try to define sustainability in the context of agricultural water management. For this, I have to understand that the sustainability is a inter or transdisciplinary concept. And since we are also working on water management, so water management has also been shifted from the technical paradigm to social learning approach. So for this, then I use this experiential knowledge to identify different concepts in sustainability and define sustainability for agricultural water management. So why then experiential knowledge? In social learning system, there are different ways of achieving knowledge that they say that knowledge comes from academia, knowledge comes from experience, even natures or mode of thought, religion, belief, etc. So I opted to use this experiential knowledge because it carries some weightage that if we have an opinion from the diverse group of experts, then knowledge gets validated. So this is the method that I use is a Delphi survey method. Delphi survey differs from ordinary survey that it is structured and has iterative round. So in the pre-survey round, we designed question, we then selected evaluators and sent the evaluators like multidisciplinary group of evaluators who finalized the question, who evaluated and finalized the questions. Then again, we selected different experts and the survey was conducted in 2 rounds, with first round for getting the blueprint idea of sustainability from the expert, and second round was to address the conflict and also the feedback that was obtained in the first round. So with this Delphi survey, what we observed was that different key concepts. So it's shown in the radar map. The radar map in the outer is more focused on environmental aspects of sustainability. When I say environment, it's technical plus environmental. So the term that were related to technical perspectives were heavily used or frequently used concept then compared to social and economic concepts. It's shown here in the figure. So then I combine those all of these concepts together to form a definition of sustainability in agricultural water management in a multidisciplinary in the multidisciplinary setting, which says that holistic management of available water by preserving its quality, minimizing environmental impact. It considers the stakeholder satisfactions and well-being, ensuring equal participation and improving competency by entailing effective governance and equitable laws. It promotes long-term economic growth as well as provision of incentives and subsidies. In nutshell, it reflects the optimal state of water management considering the climate change adaptations. So we define sustainability. These definitions of sustainability and all those are also published in a paper in water policy. So we so we identified the problem. Then we then defined. We then also identified that there are different definitions of sustainability. Then we then developed the definition of sustainability. So how these concepts or how these definitions can be used in a multidisciplinary project setting. So let's go to an example how this can be used. So this was used in a project called Water Agri. It's a Horizon 2020 research and innovation project whose aim is to reintroduce and enhance sustainable water retention and nutrient recycling solutions. It works in 3 different regions of Europe in Boreal, Continental, and Pannonian. These are the 3 climatic zones of Europe, ranging from very north to the very south. And it has different objectives. These objectives are then translated to different working packages. Among them, this research was more directed toward work package 6 about sustainability and technical evaluation of proposed innovations and measures. And this was done with the holistic co-production approach. So let's look what are the different solutions then. So this is one of the solutions called remote sensing pipelines for water retention. This remote sensing pipeline takes into account of different agricultural crops, topography and soil type of the field, and helps in precise by crop water requirements calculations in the principle of crop water requirement. Second water retention solution is that precision irrigation system. This precision irrigation system is an online platform that uses information from the soil monitoring and remote sensing products to estimate irrigation needs for optimal irrigation scheduling in agriculture. So it's like there is a modeling, and modeling has different scenarios, and it choose the optimum scenario or the best scenario to retain water in the soil in the field. So there is also next water retention product. It is called enhanced biodegradable water retainer product. These biodegradable retainer products help to retain water in the soil. Like it modifies this popular water retention curve, like the S curve. It widens that curve by increasing the water retention time, and it helps in water retention, thus by decreasing the frequency of irrigations. Next is I have put the nutrient recovery solutions as farm constructed wetlands. This can also be used for water retention. Just like when we think of water supply, their sanitary comes automatically. So similar in case of agricultural water management, when we think of water management in the farm, then nutrient recovery comes automatically. This is also guided by policy in common agricultural policy in Europe, that every farm must have to follow the principle of circular economy, meaning that the farm must be following those practices that are more sustainable, that are more economical, and that are more feasible for long run. So these farm constructed wetlands are also constructed to remove these farm constructed wetlands. They tap the surface runoff from the agricultural field, and then there are certain ingoing process like nitrogen cycle and phosphorus cycle, and they help to retain. They help to this. Focusing nitrogen and phosphorus, it is because nitrogen obtained from Haber-Bosch process, like the urea we obtain back home, it's very expensive, as well as it consumes huge amount of energy. Similarly, in case of phosphorus, they say that after 50 years there won't be any phosphorus in mine, and whatever the phosphorus is in the field, so we have to tap the remaining phosphorus from the field. Second is the microfluidics, which works in the concept of our kidney, like the surface runoff from the agricultural farm is trapped through small microchannels, and these help to tap the micronutrients like boron, zinc, iron, and etc. Furthermore, there is also bionic-based nutrient collecting membranes. These membranes work on the basis of forward osmosis and then electrolysis, and these membranes helps to tap the nitrogen, phosphorus, and all the macronutrients. So then we have different solutions for water retention and nutrient recovery. Then how these solutions can be used to in wider scale or farm scale. So there need to have certain type of assessment or analysis for the policy recommendations. So for this, what we did was then the concepts that were developed previously in the definitions through the Delphi survey was then categorized into three different pillars of sustainability: social, environmental, and economic. And these different concepts were then translated or converted to certain measurable indicators. Like, for example, I have given the example of water availability, which is then converted to hydrological water availability, blueprint, blue water footprint, ecological value. All those different values were then calculated on each pillar of sustainability. Then they were in the second step. Then they were prioritized. If all the solutions made the target value, then they were prioritized as suitable. They were potentially suitable and non-suitable, and summarized. And all those findings were then made for the policy recommendations. So having the concept of sustainability, what we can do is that we can use those concepts in the farm level and to assess the technologies, whether they are sustainable or not, and whether they can be used for long run or not. So with this, I would like to conclude this presentation, saying that sustainability is a journey and it's not a destination, and sustainability is a serious concern for agricultural water management. and the terms need to get conceptualized based on the working setting or setting that we need to work on, maybe multidisciplinary or single disciplinary, whatever it is. And one more thing is that any technologies that we implement in the farm level need to get tested through certain assessment or analysis for the widespread acceptance. So, so with this, I would like to end my presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dahal, for a very, very informative and interesting presentation. I really liked it. Now we'll invite questions or feedback or experience sharing from our beloved participants. We'll have around half an hour left. Maybe the participants can raise hands and speak directly, or maybe write down their queries or feedback or viewpoints in the chat box. It's well said that sustainability is a journey, not a destination. Actually, understanding this is really required before making any, because many people think that sustainability, especially integrated water resource management, can also be somehow considered as sustainability pathways as a failure. That may not be the case sometime, because if you understand what does it mean properly. So it's a journey. Thank you so much for that. We don't have any questions so far. We highly encourage the participants to raise the questions, either or feedback or maybe queries. While we are waiting for that, maybe can I have one question? There could be various solutions for sustainability, because it is a wider concept, very broad concept, and whatever we are doing or we will be doing, they should partly or fully, they will be the part of the solution. So if we focus on agriculture sector specifically, based on your experience so far, can we prioritize a couple of actions or solutions which may lead to sustainability in a priority basis, maybe let's say 3-4 pathways for that?
For now, I can just say some of my results that I did recently, from the Delphi survey, and thank you for giving some more insights on that. So from the Delphi survey, one of the findings was that in agricultural water management, we have to prioritize something that's related to environmental sustainability, because those terminologies were frequently used even when I think you know very well that you were also one of the members of the Delphi survey. So when I asked to prioritize which is the more important in agricultural water management, then the 90% of the participants focus on the environmental part of survey. So any environmental doesn't only mean the environmental flow, but the technical part is also there. So any solutions that we develop for sustainable water management or water management in agriculture, then we have to prioritize something that is related to environment. Just like here, I presented different solutions for nutrient retentions and water retentions and nutrient recovery. For example, farm constructed wetland that has been used from ages in Europe, maybe in our countries also. And this is like partly its design has been changed to tap nitrogen and phosphorus. So this could be one of the very good alternative for tapping out the agricultural runoff from our farm. So something that is like we have different indicators, and which indicators get the highest weightage could be the best solutions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any participants, or maybe addition to whatever we are discussing today? It will be really helpful to have an enriched discussion with the multiple viewpoints. Or maybe can I spotlight some of the people here who are working on these areas, and they may share some of their thoughts?
Is there.
So how about, let me see. Deepak Bhardwaj, I could see him, and I mean, he may be on the travel. Otherwise, he's working quite well in the last couple of years with the groundwater. We also had his lecture, speech in one of the earlier session. So in that viewpoint, if he may not be able to speak properly. Any other persons?
There is Jitendra with raising hand.
Okay, yes, please go ahead, Jitendra Sahani.
Thank you, sir, for giving the opportunity. Can you explain why in one of the slides you mentioned that sustainability of water is not technical, but it's a social approach. Then my question is, if you are considering that, then why didn't you consider that it is an economic approach? I think socio-economic approach will be more better than that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, what I meant here is that it's not so, uh, like water management is not a technical. I didn't say it's not a technical approach. It has shifted its paradigm from technical approach to social approach. Meaning it, what the core meaning of that statement is that for any infrastructure development, we should not only rely on the technical part, but also we should consider the social part. So when we say technical and social part, there is obvious, like there is an economic part, because for developing infrastructure there is always an, that is just a perceptions from certain, like I have put the reference there, that is the perception of certain author or certain researcher in this field. Like it's not, if we want to find any solutions in water infrastructure, then we need to think about social part also.
Thank you. There's one question. What might be the things to be considered while designing irrigation projects from the sustainability viewpoint? Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, it's like we have already in our design system, I think we first use the EIA or EEA, IEE, something like that in the initial screening. Then we do the feasibility study test, we do soft project preparations report. Like all of those are, we are already using those concepts of sustainability, that we are engaging society. Even we are just not only looking at the budget, we are also designing by taking the technical measures. What we need to think about is that we are not considering the future aspects, like for example, what I showed in one of in the example is that we have the business as usual scenario, means the current scenario. We have the scenario after these interventions of various technical innovations. Then we compare like which is the beneficial with or without, and then we have to take the exact field data, not the manipulated one. I think that will make more things more sustainable.
Thank you. We highly encourage other participants also to share viewpoints while they are thinking. Let me have one more question to you. We have global commitments in the form of sustainable development goals, right? Many of the goals are related to sustainability in agricultural system as a whole. So in that context, localizing the global commitment really matters. So from your experience or from the literature review or whatever you have encountered, if any, are there any practices or workable practices which may help to better localize the global commitments?
Yeah. So in a recent like field work that I was doing, actually while I was working in Nepal, I have never heard those things like localizing the SDG goals to the local level. But there are certain like country-based indicators for each of the sustainable goals. Like we have the different indicators. When we say, like when I said like sustainable development goal 2 is directly related with agriculture water management. One of the target is that double the productions. So then how can we double the productions? It's not only the national level, it down scales to the local level. Like for example, when I was doing the field work in nearby area, like it's Turnava, it's called in this Oulu, like 100 kilometer north of this area. So while we were doing this sustainability analysis in that area, government has certain indicated that certain, like local government has indicated certain indicators for them. Like they have to make, okay, this much amount of productions and this much amount of fertilizers are available, and then there are different ways of measuring water. So like fertilizers, you can only make this much of input. So they have already controlled the system to certain level. In our case, like we have no such mechanism as far as I know. I'm not sure recently what happened in last 2 years. Otherwise, I don't know if there are certain mechanisms like government is enforcing in a local level. Like we have invested a lot of money in infrastructures, but we have not audited how much production is from that infrastructures. Like, okay, We have running irrigation project like the very one, especially the management, those projects which are under the management divisions or management scheme. We have not set some indicators like maybe our country level indicators are this one. Okay, this area has to contribute this much for these SDG goals and something like that.
Thank you. I haven't seen any comments so far, additional comments. Maybe can I invite some of the personalities to share their thoughts? For example, Vasudev Lohani sir, he used to be the DG in our department. He has worked extensively in various areas. Sir, do you have any thoughts or do you want to share some thoughts on the theme we are discussing today? Vasudev Lohani sir.
Thank you, Vishnu Ji. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I have very short queries or suggestions. Actually, these sustainability issues has to be defined to some target. Without definition, it's not sustainable anyway. That is one thing. Another one is Mr. Bishal. Do you use any model to find out the nutrient deficiency or this quantity of use, etc., and test it or not?
Okay, well, we are using this social life cycle assessment to for the social data, and then cost benefit analysis for the economic part of view, and water footprint assessment for the environmental or technical part. So we have also tested, like I have presented few of the example. For example, we have tested the water retainer example, which I can share right now the results. The result was that retainer was from water footprint analysis, it was very feasible because it holds water, and then it also helps to control the surface runoff. But through the economic point of view, there were no much changes in case of barley and wheat. But in case of high value crop, which are done in the continental zone of Switzerland, it was very feasible. So some products that are unfeasible at some place could be very feasible in other place. So from the technical point of view, it was feasible for all climatic zone in Europe. From social point of view, still people have some conditions or reservations to accept those technologies because they don't know if it's biodegradable or not. They don't know what the chemical compositions are. So there need to have some capacity development on that. But in terms of economic, it was not feasible for like the daily usable crop, but it is called staple crop, but to the high value crops.
Okay. Let me have one more query. So you are doing these works in a developed country, I think. And how much is the possibility of replicate those things in our country, in our case? Do you think it's possible to replicate as such or modify and replicate?
So there are two means, like here they are developing three different type of technology. One technology, they are more focused on digitalization, like precision irrigation systems and precision remote sensing pipelines. Second is about these different type of small solutions like microfluidics, etc. And third is like the already used nature-based solutions like farm constructed wetland. I think we can replicate farm constructed wetland because our country is facing this nitrogen crisis or urea crisis in every season. So if we can replicate those like very big structure, because it's like 1 or 2 hectares pond, and it has different ingredients inside it. Ingredients means the plants and everything, the rock, soils, and like how to increase the retention capacity of those different nutrients. So it's replicable. Then other products are just commercial products, so it's just buy and use it is our own like need.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Maybe since there are no questions even so far, may I spot some of the people? Maybe Khemra Sharma sir, would you like to shed some lights on the topic we are discussing, since you are from agriculture background? Khemra sir, if you are there and can speak something on theme, or maybe put some queries. Okay, all right. Let me go to next one. Hey, Prasanda sir, would you like to share some thoughts? Prasanda Pradhan sir.
Okay, giving me this opportunity, I thank you. And the presentation is very, very interesting. I would like to come back with two issues. One is like sustainable goal is a kind of journey, not the say static. I agree fully that development is not the static thing. Development is all the time a kind of moving factor. We have to catch up with the new changes. So in that context, when we talk of this sustainable development goal, this brings me back to the Rio de Janeiro summit, where they were talking about linking between the local condition with that of international, overall objective. And the Rio de Janeiro conference agreed that unless we strengthen the capacity of the local, say, institutions, the sustainable goal realization will be very difficult. Here, the presenter has given more of his, say, experiences from the developed country. I would like to, suggest whether he can have some kind of ground-based, say, situation analysis about this sustainable goal in Nepal, because the politics and the social condition really reflect on sustainable goal and these factors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Maybe this is a suggestion rather, I believe. And if you, Mr. Dahal, if you would like to reflect back, you can very quickly. Otherwise, it's a suggestion.
Okay, thank you, sir. Actually, the second last slide that I showed about different sustainability, like a table in the format, we have already developed a framework which I'm not showing here because it's under review and because of the copyright infringement. We have made a framework like that could be applicable in all type of situations for agricultural water management. So I was also talking to some of my colleagues, like who can work together to do some research related to Nepal or any other developing countries to test that framework. But just it's under the review process, so I'm thinking of doing after some time.
Thank you. Maybe I would like to spot. I see the Mother Belvasis are also. Sir, would you like to share some thoughts here on the theme? And sorry, I'm spotting here and there wherever I see.
Thank you, Vishnuji, for spotting me. Actually, I was trying to hide myself. Anyway, Bishal, you have done very good presentation. Congratulations. I really liked it. A very in-depth study on this subject. I must congratulate you. You are doing very good. Actually, what confused me rather, is you come up with so vast definition of sustainability. So, firstly, what are the minimum things that has to be achieved to have a sustainability of an agriculture water resource management, Secondly, second aspect is even, with the limited definition of sustainability, we have not been able to achieve it, even the limited definition of sustainability. If we, perceive the sustainability the way Bishal has, elaborated, do you think it is really practicable? How, or let me say another way, how it can be made more practical for water resource management at agriculture level, or agricultural field? So, some very key points on sustainability instead of having so many factors. So, what are the minimum things that needs to be achieved? I think that is more practical. That will be a good takeaway for us, rather than having a vast definition of sustainability in theoretical aspect as a part of PhD thesis or something. So how can it be made more practical? As you know the Nepali agriculture very well, you know the irrigation of Nepal. So just shed some lights on it.
Oh, thank you, sir. Actually, in my paper, I have stated these like the setbacks or limitations as well. The minimum thing what we have to consider is the different viewpoints that was obtained in the Delphi survey. For example, the viewpoints of the experts from the global north differ from the global south. In terms of like global north, we're more focused on water quality, where the global south were more focused on water quantity, as well as it differs from the different type of stakeholders as well. Like farmers were more concerned on economic growth, and the researchers or the experts were more focused on the technical innovations. Similarly, when we talk about male and female participants, then male participants were more related to the participatory approach, where female participants were more focusing on co-decision making. So when we think of like uh, the like global south, global north, or the type of expert, then we can pick out some points. Like if we have to consider in our country, then the major thing we have to think is about water quantity, equitable access to all, and then we have to think of economic growth, and we have to think of co-decision making. Similarly, in Europe, the more focus was on maintaining water quality and developing the new technologies. So here only if we have to make some sustainable solutions, then the focus would be on water quality in environmental aspects, and developing the technical solutions that maintains the water quality. Because when we do like as you said, like when we carry out the sustainability analysis, then there are thousands of indicators. Even if we want to minimize, I had like more than 60 indicators. So it is like huge amount of data analysis.
Yeah, that's right. So it's basically a ladder. When you achieve some a part of the factors you have mentioned, sustainability, then you have to climb the next ladder, next step, and then next step. So that way, maybe Europeans, they have already climbed, part of the ladder already. So we are at the just the beginning. So we have to achieve some basic things to climb the ladder itself. So I think that way it can be made more practical. I'm just thinking, how to make it practical, and how to make it, make the irrigation systems more sustainable. For us, what is the minimum requirement? After achieving that, what is the next? So these sort of things, if you could, highlight or give message to the participant, probably that would be better.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
for this.
Thank you for the very valuable feedback. Maybe now I think Khemra sir is back. May I request Khemra sir to share some of the thoughts, please? Khemra Sharma sir.
Okay, thank you, Vishnu. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you see what I understand, you see, in a simple term. What I mean is sustainability is, you see, the target groups, whoever are the target groups, they have, they have integrated and adopted the activities as a part of their social life. See, that is one indicator for me, what I mean by sustainability. And then, you see, if there is a project, for example, project supported local institutions, they are working the way they are expected to work. And then the technologies, for example, you see, including land and land use practices and other, you see, for example, ecosystem or something like that, are ecologically and
Khemra sir, you are muted maybe accidentally. Would you please unmute and continue? Khemra sir, we can't hear you. It seems you are muted. You are muted, sir.
okay?
Yes. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then you see, I would say maybe it was missed. You see, the technologies, whatever are the, for example, land use practices, they are ecologically and socially appropriate. I mean, you see, they are accepted by the society. And then the other one, I would say, you see, the induced programs, whatever are there, or the activities, they become part of the local and national development strategies. You see, if these indices are met, for example, if these indicators are somehow addressed, then I would say it is sustainable.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dahal, would you like to reflect back or maybe agree, or maybe do you have any additional thoughts here?
So I do agree on source view that yeah, we need to consider the local knowledge for sustainability and the local guidelines.
All right. We are almost at the end. We still have 4 more minutes. If anyone would like to have a last, feedback or maybe viewpoint, we still have 1 or 2 minutes left for that. Anyone else would like to contribute here? If not, yes, I see from Jitendra Sahani. According to World Bank Report 2020 achievement, over 3 billion people are at significant risk of water quality of their water sources. 2.3 billion people live in water-stressed countries, and most countries are paying more than 10 USD per meter cube of water. Under this scenario, what will be the role of developing countries? Mr. Dahal, would you like to share some thoughts here? A very broad questions actually, and very key question also. You are muted, Mr. Dahal.
That I'm reading this.
Yeah, please.
What actually it means. Significant is over. So, okay, yeah, Jitendra, yeah, that's true that most of the people in global south are living in water stress condition, because the data also says that like only 40% of all the fresh water availability is in the global north, more than that, and less is there. But there has to be certain specific, like how we treat water as an economic good or as a social good or as a human right. So that has to make clear to get out of these vicious cycles of water quality or water induced desire, so problem induced from the water induced hazard or the problem of water quality. So first we need to have the specific thing what we are going to achieve. It's not only about drinking water, but for the agriculture, first we have to set the guidelines. So developing countries first must focus on developing the guidelines based on their country's need, based on their requirement. As I said that in the previous, in the definition of sustainability, that who defines need? What is need? Need might be different from Europe to a developed country to developing country or least developed country. So that's the.
Thank you so much. I think we have a very productive discussion today. It was really a pleasure to hear from the prominent personality on some of the views, as well as some critical questions, with maybe the question for the speaker, but this is a question to all of us to think, to reflect back while moving forward. With this, I would like to thank the speaker for devoting a very, very good amount of time for preparing a nice presentation and sharing with all of us to strengthen our knowledge further in this particular topics. Also would like to thank all the participants for joining us and participating in discussion. Like usual, now we would like to share announcement for the next episode of the event. Yes, next event would be held again on the second Tuesday of the Nepali month. It will be dialogue. This will be actually the second dialogue. First one we had earlier about the different topics, and this also would be the dialogue on irrigation management transfer, learnings and ways ahead. That will be held on 12th Bhadra or 29th August 2023. We'll have our very well-known, our own Suman Sijapati sir, who is an irrigation professional, as a keynote speaker, and it will be followed by a commentary from three prominent personality. One is a very well-known personality, Rishiram Sharma Neopani sir, and two others we are yet to identify, but representative from two water user associations, one from Kankai irrigation system, another from Mahakal irrigation system. So this will be held again in dialogue mode, like we have one of the earlier episode. With this announcement, I once again would like to thank you all for sparing this evening with us, and we look forward to continued participation in future events. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.